Good evening, and thank you for attending tonight's meeting. It's now 6:30, and I call the regular Town Board of East Troy the regular Town Board for East Troy meeting to order for Monday, February 10th, 2025. Roll call. Church here.
Here.
Reyes here.
John are here.
With everybody here, Attorney Mills.
Sure. So I am speaking at this point because the town board and other town department heads received an email from Chairman Klarkowski on February 4th, pursuant to state statute chapter 17. And he provided a letter of resignation dated February 4th, which reads, effective today, I am resigning my position as town chairman after 30 years of total service to the town. It wasn't an easy decision, but necessary. I thank the 4,000 honorable citizens of this community and the remaining 20 not so much. I am proud of what the town has accomplished in the last 20 years. It is in excellent shape by all measures. I especially want to thank the fantastic staff we employ. They are all competent experts in their field of service, an outstanding team. Poor decisions by our board are certainly a factor in my decision. However, questionable decisions by Walworth County have also played a role. Significantly, the county's inability to deal with the town's junkyards have made performing my job responsibilities untenable. In order to fulfill the duties of town chairman as prescribed by law entails approximately 30 hours a week. I have absolutely no regrets of my time spent serving my community. It has been my honor and privilege. Respectfully, Joseph S. Klarkowski, Town of East Troy Chairman, Chairman of Walworth County Unit WTA, First Vice Chairman, Tri-County Unit WTA, Tri-Troy Alliance Executive Committee. So with that letter of resignation, I would ask that a board member make a motion to accept the resignation.
I make a motion to approve the resignation of Chairman Joe Klarkowski.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous vote, passes. So you'll also see on the agenda for this evening under 6, discussion and possible action to fill vacant seats on the town board. While the board could continue as a 4-person board moving forward, it's my position that since the electors voted for a 5-person board, that even if the seat is only filled for a month or 2 before the next election, that the board move forward with its process in filling the vacancy. We do have a town code that speaks to absences and when a vice chair can sit in the chairman's absence. However, based upon a resignation, that creates a vacancy that needs to be filled. So we will see how that process goes a little further down on the agenda.
Thanks for your explanation, Jim.
You're welcome.
Please stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we do have overflow seating in the courtroom where it is live streaming. However, from there, if you want to make a public comment, you will have to come down here. But you are more than welcome if you would like a seat to head up to the courtroom.
Also, please remember to sign in out there so we have an accurate count of who's here. Thank you. All right. We are on item number 3, approval of meeting agenda. Board, please review the amended agenda. Are there any changes to the amended agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the amended agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, the amended agenda is approved. Ms. Buchanan, have we met all requirements to certify that this meeting is in compliance with open meeting laws?
Yes, we do.
Thank you so much. Item number 5, minutes of previous meetings. The first one will be the Parks Committee meeting from November 4th, 2024. Does anybody have any changes?
I make a motion, we approve the Parks Committee meetings minutes from November 4th, 2024.
I'll second.
Hearing a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously 4-0. The next item on our minutes, we have Town of East Troy Planning Commission meeting minutes from December 4th, 2024, and the Town of East Troy Planning Commission minutes from December 18th, 2024. Are there any changes? What do you think I had?
The December 18th minutes, in the long paragraph on the first page, about 2/3 of the way down on the first paragraph on the right column, the zoning code has changed a capital I, you'll see.
Should be one.
Yeah, it should be in. About 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like 13 lines up from the bottom. And then on the other side, on the left margin, 2 lines below that, I believe it should read that there is no additional step required. I think the word required is missing for the 2050 plan change. That's all I had.
Anybody else with changes? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
I'll make a motion, we approve the Town of East Troy Planning Commission minutes from December 4th, 2024 and December 18th, 2024 as amended.
Second.
Hearing a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries 4-0. The third set of minutes are the official Town of East Troy Board meeting minutes from a special meeting on Monday, January 13th, 2025. Does anybody have any changes to those?
I do not. I'll make a motion to approve the special town board meeting minutes from Monday, January 13th as presented.
I'll second.
Hearing a motion from Supervisor Reyes and a second from Supervisor Leonard. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. And last, we have the official Town of East Troy Board meeting minutes from the regular meeting on Monday, January 13th, 2025. Does anybody have any changes?
I'm not sure if everyone will agree, but on the Booth Lake Memorial Park report, I don't know that I stated the DNR is studying the lake bed. I think,
The Booth Lake ones?
yeah.
I don't
No,
think we have to
in-
approve those.
in the
Oh,
agenda.
in the agenda, in the minutes.
The Booth Lake Memorial Park
Understood.
report.
Got it.
My intent, and I didn't go back and read it, was that the Booth Lake Memorial Park is not acting on wakeboard pending DNR studies. So I don't know exactly what was captured on the video.
Would it be, oh, I'm sorry.
I did review that piece because I had written in my notes that the DNR is studying the wakeboard issue.
Michelle,
Yeah.
if we added the words with wakeboards at the end, that'd be a more appropriate summary of what was reported.
Sure.
It's up
Yep.
to you. I'm just.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have one.
So
And then-
concerning wakeboards,
Wake
wakeboats,
boats, yeah. And then
I'm
in the
sorry.
unfinished business on page 4, It looks like motion fails 5-0 is repeated.
Thank you.
I have one change as well. Are you done, Michelle?
The only other thing was on the last page, page 5, in new business. Motion by Chairman Clarkowski, I was second by.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'll make a motion to approve the January 13th Town Board meeting minutes as amended.
I'll second.
Hearing a motion from Supervisor Reyes and a second by Supervisor Leonard. Are there, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. All right. That takes us to item number 6, discussion and possible action to fill vacant town board seats. First item of business according, are you going?
No, there's a question if you want to recognize Supervisor Leonard.
Sorry, Supervisor
At this point, can
Leonard.
we just make a motion to appoint a chairperson?
Well, there's a nominating committee, so
Okay.
names should be thrown out, I would think.
For the chairperson.
Yes,
Okay.
Which has to be a seating member, correct?
yes,
It has to be the one of.
just for chair,
No.
supervisor, no.
So at this time, we are to appoint a chairperson until April 15th. Do I hear any motions?
Make a motion to appoint Barb Church as acting chairperson for the time being until April 15th, 2025.
Second.
Hearing a motion by Supervisor Johnner and second by Supervisor Leonard. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 4-0. We need to appoint a vice chair to serve until April 15th, 2025. Are there any nominations?
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Michelle Reyes as vice chairperson until April 15th, 2025.
Before there's a second,
I believe, if I remember the law, Kim needs to vote on the chairperson.
That's on the open seat.
Yeah, open seat.
Okay, not on the.
Not on the
chairperson.
vice
Okay,
chair.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
On the
So is there a
first-
second on Supervisor Janners?
So did Kim vote on?
I cannot vote.
She
Chair.
doesn't
I can only
vote on
to those
chair.
who have a
She-
seat on the board.
I wanted to make sure.
I can't vote for chair or vice chair.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry, Joe.
So
Did you second?
Supervisor Johnner, could you repeat your motion, please?
Make a motion to nominate Michelle Reyes as vice chairperson until April 15th, 2025.
I'll second.
Hearing a motion from Supervisor Johnner and a second from Supervisor Leonard. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Discussion regarding process to fill town board vacancy.
So here, there's the nominations that can be thrown out. Kim is a member of the nominating committee as the clerk. So now there is a vacancy for Barb's supervisor seat, at least up until the election while she's sitting as chair. So motions can be taken, nominations can be had regarding who you might want to nominate to fill a supervisor seat.
So do we nominate someone first and then discuss that, or how do you?
That's up to the board.
I would say if the nominating committee has people in mind, throw the names out there so there can be discussion before there's a motion.
I'd like to nominate John Russell from the Planning Commission.
I would like to nominate Chad Wales and bring
Okay.
him back in for the next 3 months or 2.5.
Now, the supervisor would be seated in March, so it'd be the March and April meeting.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch what Michelle said.
I didn't.
Oh, I thought you said
Just the
something.
two.
No, they were just commenting about when the person would be seated. So, I was nominating John Russell because he's been on the planning commission. He's very versed at reading planning commission minutes. That was why I nominated, Mr. Russell. I know that Mr. Russell is available and was interested.
I had a conversation with Chad on the phone, and he said that if it helped the town, that he would be more than happy to come back for 2 months and serve on the board again to get us to the next election. I thought since he had just come off the board a year ago, that would be kind of a nice fit
Segue.
and segue for him to move or to help us get through the next couple months here. So
Okay.
I said, I'll put your name out, you know.
Yeah, and based on working with Chad, I reached out to him as well. Of course, he doesn't want to have quite as many meetings as when we first were elected to the board over the 2 months, but if we could limit the
Did
number of
Carrie
meetings.
approve?
Yeah. That, obviously he has the experience, and is willing to help out.
Joe, do you have?
I'm in
any
favor of
comments?
Chad coming on.
Okay.
He brings a lot of experience. I think he'd be a good fit.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Kim, did you have any? Kim, you have anyone?
Not at the top of my head.
Well, I'll make a motion that we put Supervisor Chad Wales back in the seat from the months of March and April 2025 until the April 15th election.
Second.
I'm sorry, April 1st election.
April 1st.
He would sit on the town board for March's meeting, April's meeting, and the annual meeting.
Okay. So how do I?
And Joe seconded it.
That's okay.
Yeah.
For the March and 2 April
Okay, the
meetings.
March to April.
And who seconded?
I did.
Thank you, Supervisor Johnner. Hearing a motion by Supervisor Leonard and a second by Supervisor Johnner. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries and we invite former Supervisor Chad Wales to return as supervisor for a few months. All right, moving on. That takes us to item 7, Clerk Treasurer's Report. Clerk Buchanan.
Treasury report for January 2025. Total receipts were $24,663.09. Transfers for January were $317,400. Interest earned on the general checking account was $214.42. Balance as of December 31st was $20,901.46. Total funds for January were $363,178.97. Checks paid in January were $337,175.11, leaving a balance of $26,003.86.
And we have boat launch already?
Just a couple annual passes.
We'll take it, thanks.
I make a motion, we accept the February 10th, 2025 Treasurer's Report as read.
I'll second.
Hearing a motion from Supervisor Leonard and a second by Supervisor Reyes. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. That takes us to item number 8, special
Does
pre.
anybody- I'm sorry, Barb. Does
Sorry.
anybody have any questions about my report? Or the graph I included?
Yeah, where did you got the graph from the county or?
This actually comes from the state, from the UW Extension Office. It shows, and I believe I put it on the online packet, but it shows what inflation has done and then what the town's increase has been compared to inflation. So inflation was almost 30%. about 28%, and the town's inflation rate for the last 10 years plus has been less than, it's about 8%. So we have been very tight on our budgets comparing to the rate of inflation over the last 10
But
plus
that-
years.
It specifies new construction,
Mhm,
so that is just capital expenditures.
mhm.
But it wouldn't
New
be like,
construction
it
is
wouldn't be
new,
equipment.
net new construction in the town.
right, it wouldn't be like the equipment purchases, capital equipment, just
No.
physical
Yeah.
construction.
I also sent you guys a really cool analysis of the municipalities in Walworth County, the towns, where we compare with other towns, and then with the village of East Troy with. But that was too long to get into a format that could, but I could definitely share that online because it shows where we compared to like the village of East Troy and the town of Troy, our extreme neighbors, like where we are budget-wise, debt-wise, all of that stuff. It's a numbers geek thing, sorry.
As long as you explain it.
And then did anybody have any other questions on my general report?
No,
It's been a little busy.
good. So we had a motion and a second and approved your financial reports. So we are now into special presentations regarding wake boats. Each group will be allowed 10 minutes maximum for their presentation. We will begin with the Beulah Responsible Boaters.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak before the board. My name is Barry Quirk, and I'm going to co-present with Steve Radke. And we're speaking on behalf of the Beulah Responsible Boaters, or BRB. And we are a recently organized group of Lake Beulah wakeboat enthusiasts, but that's not all we are. We're water skiers. We're sailors, we're paddle sports enthusiasts, we're adoptive sports supporters, and of course, we're your friends and neighbors on the lake. We have heard the complaints about wake boats, so we're aware of the perceptions, and no doubt we care deeply and are committed to the preservation of Lake Beulah for current and future lake users. Lake Beulah is a crown jewel lake, and like any other sensible lake user, we wouldn't purposefully operate our wake boats in a destructive manner. So what's our immediate mission? Why did we get organized? Well, two key reasons. First, to challenge the science, which there are views that the science indisputably requires banning wake boats because of the existential threat that wake boats present to the underwater ecosystem on the lake. Steve Radke, one of my colleagues who's joined BRB on an advisory basis, is going to speak more specifically to the science. So second, once we get past that, well, that doesn't mean we're advocating sitting on our hands. Really, we think the narrative should shift towards enforcing existing ordinances that you already have on the books and promoting greater boater education, helping people be better, practical boaters. So how can we achieve that mission? Not, again, by sitting on our hands. We've got an energized group to take action. First, by advocating the enforcement of existing regulations. Thankfully, Lake Beulah, the town of East Troy, has already adopted a 200-foot setback from the shore to place buoys for no wake zones. It's our observation that the buoys aren't actually placed there right now. Second is to use whatever other ordinances exist, including the ability to mark weed beds or other sensitive areas of the lake to keep boaters, not just wake boaters, all boaters away from them. And of course, the second is to really promote education. And I think we have the resources to help do that by increasing signage that might be available at the boat launch, by providing placards to those who bring their boats on the lake or for those who already have their boats on the lake with guidelines that specify good and potentially bad practices. Ultimately, we think the best boaters are the ones that are educated, not just wake boaters, but all boaters. Finally, I would just know in achieving our mission, it's going to require some collaboration, some serious collaboration and compromise, not just from wakeboaters, from all users of the lake. And in that regard, we are enthusiastic about that possibility. We've seen it done successfully on other lakes without bans, and we look forward to working with those on this lake, our lake, to achieve the same outcome. So
Thanks, Barry. It's been it's been excellent being part of the BRB team. They're energized. They're looking for solutions to work with everybody to do the right thing. About me, I have an engineering background. It's primarily in the automotive and the military shipbuilding. So I've been involved in a lot of testing, a lot of studies, and that's kind of where I got into this. As we started looking at the studies that have been communicated, what we felt was, and this is a few of my colleagues and myself, is we felt that the data wasn't being fully represented. It wasn't what was being told. It was what wasn't being told. And so the whole story in terms of what the data is telling us has not been told. We kind of are viewed as like the opposition to what's going on and a lot of this stuff. It should be understood that when we look at the data and we look at the science behind it, we actually are advocating for a setback even at the state level up to 200 feet, which you guys are already at. But the data actually says we can move that back. We are actually advocating change. Okay. Most of our information is usually coming from studies. Unfortunately, a lot of the studies in this area are not truly peer reviewed, not even the St. Anthony Falls. It was reviewed. It didn't go into an academic journal. Actually, one of the reviewers felt he never even saw the response on the back. He actually made some comments about the St. Anthony Falls, which is the benchmark study, which is what they've put on a lot of these condition reports for these bands. His comments were, it was amateur hour dressed up as science. There are so many fundamental errors in the understanding of the science and collection and analysis of the data that is embarrassing more than anything. So we kind of have to look at this data as data. And also we look at it comprehensively. We look at all the studies. We look at what the data tells us in a complete fashion. The first graph right there basically shows how many studies are involved and what's going on. The bottom section are boats from 11 to 25 miles an hour. This is kind of more on the state side. But you can see all those data points at the 200-foot mark. What the pro ban side, and when they usually give their presentations, they love to count that one at the very top, that one bullet point. There's so much data underneath that actually represents all the other studies that are involved in this, okay? And there's basically about 5 studies. There's St. Anthony Falls, there's WSIA, there's called Australian Maritime College, there's also Ray, and there's also Terra Vigilis, all have wake height, and some of them have energy calculations. Next slide. So what we did is we broke it down, and we said, what does it mean if we just take the averages of everything, all the studies at 100 feet, 200 feet, et cetera? You can see at 200 feet, now these are boats with ballast surfing. The dot underneath is actually boats basically with no ballast, and that's their wave heights. There's an 1.5 inch difference at 200 feet. When we were talking to Cox from St. Anthony or from the St. Anthony Falls, he actually reviewed that study. The point they made to us is that you have to have an order of magnitude difference to have an impact. That means multipliers. 1.5 inches is not an order of magnitude difference at 200 feet. 200 feet is a really good distance, okay? Next slide. And we understand this is our data, so what we did do is St. Anthony Falls did have some good data. What we actually did is we actually took the VLX data from St. Anthony Falls. The graph on the left is called condition 1A. That's surfing at 11 miles an hour. The VLX data is condition 2 on the right side. That's 20 miles an hour, no ballast. Same boat. So we're always being told it's not about your boat. It's only about the activity of surfing, right? Those waves are almost identical at 100 feet. At 200 feet, they're within 1 inch. Okay, so that's actually, and you can actually see the page numbers, 59, 71 for the St. Anthony Falls data. Make sense? So when we talk about wave heights and we talk about energies, we're not talking about orders of magnitude difference.
2 minutes.
And we also talk about all the data. We don't talk about a single point of a single study. We got to look at it comprehensively and see what's best and what makes sense for the lake community and what makes sense for each town, right? That one can wait a little bit. As we talk about, what's that? Whew. Let's talk about sediment resuspension. Okay, Terravigilus, real quick. They have an older study that talks about phosphorus. What they don't tell you is that they actually tested phosphorus for one day on a Tuesday where there's minimal boat traffic. It actually had a 23 to 200% variation with almost no boat traffic. Had nothing to do with boats passing by. Okay, so as they talk about, while a wake boat passing by, it has, it releases phosphorus. Every boat does that. Every boat that's involved in sediment resuspension. There's two studies. Dager and also Raymond and Galvez. Raymond and Galvez actually did acoustical sonars and actually measured, to the best of their ability, the speed down to 15 feet. The first day they tested, they got the ability to move silt, which is 12 centimeters per second. That's at around 10 feet. The second day, they said they got to 15 feet. They had a diver down there, didn't see anything at 15 feet. Both Dager and Raymond also did quantitative testing that also, they tested suspended solids, they tested phosphorus, they tested a multitude of tests. Right after the boat passed, localized, they found no variations. So when we talk about sediment resuspension, we have to talk about long-term impact. We've been studying for 50 years sediment resuspension and prop wash. And we know that it happens, and we know that it can occur, but it happens with every boat, especially in the shallow regions, correct? That graph right there shows us, and I know Lake Beulah has on their website,
Time.
that is historical data. It
That-
shows that there's no trend change.
Jean, is that time?
Yep.
Yep, that's good.
Sorry.
No
Thank you
problem.
very
Thank you
much
for
for
your time. I
your
really appreciate it.
information. Our second presenter this evening will be the alternative position.
Kim Rosenmeyer, 9451 Island Drive, McWanago, Wisconsin, 53149. Thank you for hearing an alternate opinion regarding wake enhanced sports on Lake Beulah from myself, Deborah Dunn, and Jim Blomberg. We three care deeply about Lake Beulah's water quality, aquatic habitat, and citizens' right to recreate and enjoy beautiful Lake Beulah. We each hold a position on the PLB board. I am water quality and secretary. Deborah is marketing and Jim is membership. I am also a volunteer citizen monitor for Lake Beulah. I'm responsible for collecting and submitting objective water quality chemistry data reporting to the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources. In 2023, I purchased and donated modernized chemistry testing equipment. This allowed me to test 5 parameters instead of 3, obtain data at 60 feet instead of 30 feet, and it gave me confidence that the data I'm collecting is accurate. I do this because I care, and I want to collect correct, objective data for Lake Beulah. I am here to share the objective data from the WDNR website for Lake Beulah. The Trophic State Index result, mesotrophic. Total phosphorus and chlorophyll levels are stable and trending down over the last 10 years. Lake Beulah is a deep stratified 2-story lake, and the temperature readings remain stratified during the months of summer months. These objective data points indicate that Lake Beulah's water chemistry is in good shape, and that makes me happy. I am here to encourage our community to continue a collaborative approach that was started. Collaboration promotes education, understanding, and adherence of healthy lake behaviors for all users. We need to address and educate, not villainize one specific watercraft. For example, aquatic plant scarring by multiple types of watercrafts on the underwater humps. Let's educate boaters of their existence. Let's mark them. Let's map them. Let's do both. Lastly, I'm here to share our alternate opinion that was submitted as requested by the PLB board December 30th, 2024. Protect Lake Beulah board has taken a majority vote, 6 in favor of a temporary ban of wake enhanced boating on Lake Beulah. 3 long-term resident board members disagree with this position. We feel that a study of potential actions around implementation of responsible boating practices, education, enforcement, and environmental monitoring may balance recreational use with ecological preservation while respecting Wisconsin's public trust doctrine. Let's find out. PLB completed a survey in the fall of 2024, reporting that 43% of the respondents wanted a ban on wake-enhanced boats, while 43% wanted education, regulation, or nothing to be done. With less than 50% in any category, we believe that before implementing an outright ban, we investigate additional actions and protections that will ensure protection of the lake along with responsible recreational use. Lake Beulah is an 800-acre lake with a depth of 57 feet, with designated wake days and times accommodating various recreational activities. Lake Beulah enjoys the reputation of being a clean, spring-fed lake. Many riparian owners have chosen Lake Beulah because it is a full sport lake. PLB reports that water quality is improving. PLB collects data using multiple parameters evaluating the water quality in conjunction with the WDNR. The data suggests improving water quality over the last 10 years regarding phosphorus and clarity with no change in stratification thermocline. On Lake Beulah, there has not been a concentrated effort to educate boaters about responsible boating, including wake-enhanced boating, which is crucial to avoiding environmental impacts. Environmental concerns reported are erosion of shoreline, lake bed disturbance, and congestion on the lake, and introduction of invasive species. By educating users, it may become possible to foster a culture of environmental stewardship. Before we ban any activity, we need to understand the impact on our lake. By implementing strategic guidelines, enforcement, education, and introducing controlled access zones, it may be possible to allow the use of wake boats while preserving the integrity of the lake and its shorelines. In fact, there's a newly formed group of boating enthusiasts called BRB, Beulah Responsible Boaters, who are working on behaviors and recommendation for responsible wake-enhanced boating that will protect our lake for generations to come. By maintaining recommended distances from the shoreline, this will create a buffer zone to prevent shoreline erosion and destruction of fish habitats. Keeping boats at least 200 feet from the shore while engaging in the sport will protect the lake shores. Please see the attached map in your packet. By reviewing the contours of the lake, it may be possible to determine the best locations for wake surfing. Remember, we made a change on Mill Lake about 10 years ago that required boats to stay 200 feet from the shore, which were marked with buoys, and this seems to have corrected the problem. By controlling where wake surfing is allowed, the impact on sensitive areas can be mitigated. We recommend that a cross-section of active lake users be assembled to evaluate wake-enhanced sports and how they can coexist with the long-term health of Lake Beulah. We would ask that this group be assembled no later than February, with recommendations due to the town board no later than the middle of April. For your information, Lauderdale Lakes, another Walworth County lake, which is 834 acres with a maximum depth of 57 feet, is made up of 3 lakes: Green Lake, Middle Lake, and Mill Lake. The Lauderdale Lake Improvement Association has chosen to work with their community. It has designated areas for wake surfing with recommendations of water depth of 20 feet and currently 200 feet from the shore. However, per the Vice President, Jim Corcoran, they will probably be changing that recommendation to 300 feet from the shore. The association is going to send out a mailer with recommendations and a map of the locations to all area residents, as well as posting it at the boat launch. They are also going to employ a citizen watch, and if they find a violator, they will look up the registration number, mail out a flyer with the recommendations and a map. They will not be finding the violators, but are advocating to educate all users. In conclusion, we believe that allowing wake-enhanced boats on Lake Beulah may be done in a responsible manner that protects the shoreline and overall ecosystem. By implementing a combination of distance guidelines, designating wake zones, education programs, and enforcement measures, the potential environmental impacts can be mitigated. Let's understand the impact on our lake. It would be irresponsible to enforce a ban without investigating the impact on Lake Beulah specifically, as well as involving those most impacted. I thank you for listening.
Thank you. All right. The last presentation will be by Protect Lake Beulah, the Lake Beulah Management District, and the Cedar Wilderness.
Sorry?
What's the third component of
Last Wilderness Alliance.
Last Wilderness Alliance? Thank you.
Before we start. The Beulah Responsible Voters were given 10 minutes. And then PLB Alternative.
10 minutes.
All right.
You're limited to 10 minutes tonight because
Just for fair and balance. we were-
just for balance, yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Everyone gets 10 minutes tonight. The board will be scheduling another meeting where more ideas can be shared and views
Right.
expressed.
This is a big enough, important topic that we need to hear from everybody and allow everybody who wants to speak the opportunity to speak. The fairest way to do tonight was we had 3 groups approach us. I apologize for the incorrect original agenda. It was not clear to me that the last group was not actually part of your group as per se, but what we're doing is 10 minutes tonight
Okay.
for each of the 3. Sorry.
All right. Well, thanks for the opportunity. Good evening. My name is Brian Ballou, and I'm Vice President of Protect Lake Beulah. Our mission is simple: protect the health of the lake for future generations. We've been safeguarding this lake for more than 100 years. A majority of our organization has decided that wake-enhanced boating poses a danger to the rights of others and to the lake's future. Imagine people having problems swimming, canoeing, kayaking, or using small fishing boats when these wake-enhanced boats are active. That's not fair or right. Our organization serves over 250 members and the broader lake community. Our summer 2024 survey shows overwhelming support for a ban or meaningful restrictions on wake-enhanced boating. Tonight, you'll hear about the dangers of these boats from an expert fisherman, Brian Fons. Fish populations are the best early warning system. You'll also hear from Richard Phillips, a leading authority on how other lake communities have acted to protect their lakes. In our view, Lake Beulah is too small and it's not deep enough to allow wake-enhanced boating without big problems. One potential danger is an algae bloom, which could make Lake Beulah unswimmable. These kind of problems can have serious economic impacts for the broader community, the town. So this is a serious issue on our lake that won't go away, and in our view, it's rapidly getting worse. Will we be responsible stewards and protect Lake Beulah for our children, grandchildren, and future generations? We at Protect Lake Beulah urge you to act decisively now, before it's too late. So Brian Fons, the expert fisherman, will be our next Protect Lake Beulah speaker.
Good evening. As he mentioned, I'm Brian Fons. I am the board of Protect Lake Beulah, handling the fish and wildlife issues. I've been fishing Lake Beulah for 45 years, 20 years running the weekly bass tournament. With the introduction of wake-enhanced boating on Lake Beulah, many of us fishermen and women have observed dramatic and significant damage to Lake Beulah's weed beds and fish habitat. There are areas of the lake that once held healthy cabbage weed supporting many fish and other aquatic life. Unfortunately, many of these areas have disappeared and now look like bare moonscape with little signs of life. We at Protect Lake Beulah are studying and documenting the significant impact of downward prop wash on Lake Beulah's weed beds and lake bottom. We will look forward to presenting our compelling findings at the upcoming special meeting. I also have had discussions with many fishermen and local citizens and they are expressing the same concerns that we all have. Many of them are looking forward to sharing their observations and those concerns at the upcoming special meeting. I will now turn over to Richard Phillips, who is working with Protect Lake Beulah on our efforts to address the wake enhancement issue. Richard has vast experience and expertise on wake enhanced boating and its impact on Wisconsin's glacial lakes.
Hi, my name is Richard Phillips. I live in Presque Isle in Vilas County. I work extensively as a volunteer speaking on the environmental and safety aspects of wake surfing on Wisconsin lakes. I work closely with over 40 towns and consulted with many, many more. I've been directly involved in most of the enhanced wake ordinances enacted by Wisconsin towns over the last couple of years. And for those who think I'm a mindless tree hugger, I spent my entire career as a corporate attorney with ExxonMobil. Yes, that ExxonMobil. Protect Lake Beulah got in touch and asked for my input. I generally just provide consulting by phone and email. But when I saw the incredible work they had done, the story they had to tell, the best I had seen of any group working on its own, and then I studied their very unique lake, your lake, I asked to join the group. I asked to help in the full effort, no matter what decision the town board makes, to prepare all the documents for your town attorney's review, to work it through the DNR, to put in place whatever ordinance you decide to put in place. Most Beulah residents feel that wake surfing should be prohibited or at least significantly restricted. To their credit, the wake surfing supporters know that an ordinance is needed, and they propose 20 feet of water depth. Protect Lake Beulah proposes a wake surfing prohibition. The boats can still be used for anything that doesn't involve making an enhanced wake. You don't use the wake shapers, you don't use the ballast tanks. There's a rub for Lake Beulah, resulting from the shape of your unique lake. It's really 4 lakes joined by shallower areas. If you decide on the restrictions route, any meaningful restrictions would leave so little area in any one place that it becomes unworkable. It's far better to prohibit than try to corral the surf boats into these 4 small areas. The topic needs a lot more time, as you've observed, than we have tonight. But let me give you my quick summary. Wake surfing is fine, and I have no problem with it, provided it's on big lakes with deep areas and a great distance from shore. It cannot be done less than 700 feet from shore without serious tearing up of the shore and the riparian areas. It cannot be done in less than 30 feet of water without tearing up your lake bottom, and your entire lake hinges on that lake bottom. Carol, show the map.
You're at 4 minutes.
This is what your lake looks like with 700 feet from shore and 30 feet deep. The remaining areas are simply too small to support wake surfing. The boats would not stay there. They would inevitably stray. They would rip up the shore. They would rip up the bottom. They would destroy the lake for other lake users. Dozens of fishermen with decades of experience report the weed beds are disappearing. Your lake is talking to you. You don't need a study. You've had a study. The fishermen are the study. The only group that can protect Lake Beulah is this town board. The county has no authority to govern lakes. Industry money handicaps the state from doing anything meaningful. Indeed, in the last few weeks, the industry has larded Madison with huge amounts of money and will very shortly, the next few days, watch for it, introduce a bill that is intended to deprive Wisconsin towns of the ability to control their own lakes. Wisconsin is the only state in the country in which towns can protect their own lakes. And the wake surf industry is going to take that away. Where's this going? 36 towns across Wisconsin, most of them in the last 13 months, have enacted ordinances that prohibit or greatly limit wake surfing. These local ordinances cover over 10% of all Wisconsin lakes over 50 acres. This will continue until a significant portion of Wisconsin lakes are protected from wake surfing because the lakes are too small and too shallow and too crowded for it to be done environmentally responsibly and safely. A few key points. Wisconsin, unique in the country, has the right at the town level to protect its own lakes. And aside from its citizens, there is no asset in East Troy more valuable to this town than the lakes, particularly Lake Beulah. What happens if you lose that?
Public trust doctrine. The wake surfers love to talk about this. There is an opinion by the Wisconsin Legislative Council, the group of government that advises the state legislature, expressly stating wake surfing can be regulated, wake surfing may be prohibited. Many towns are acting now. 36 towns have already prohibited wake surfing. 30 or 40 more are working to do it right now. By the end of the year, I expect another 25 towns would have prohibited wake surfing. Lawsuits. I am always asked about lawsuits. I will promise you one thing. If you consider an ordinance, I promise you, you will be threatened with a lawsuit. Each and every town that considers doing something is threatened with a lawsuit. And the tally so far, 36 ordinances, 0 lawsuits. Ask yourself why. Depth. The industry claims no impact below 10 feet. Carol, will you go to the Thunderjet, Alexis? Now I understand. The industry says that they have compared a wake surf boat to a typical fishing boat. Behold, your typical fishing boat. 4,100 pounds, six fishermen, 21 feet long, and operated at plowing speed. That is how they got the benchmark. Safety of other boats. The wake surf industry's own data shows what a problem these boats are. Their own 2015 Gowdy study shows the wakes are 20 inches high at 100 feet and 13 inches high at 300 feet. My fishing boat has a freeboard of 12 inches. Where do I go to fish when the wake surf boats are out? Your lake has no deep central area far from shore. There's no place for wake surf boats. This town board has a choice. If it takes no action or enacts a weak ordinance, more wake surf boats will come to Beulah every year.
Time. We thank you very much
Thank you.
for your presentation.
Sorry it was so low key.
Kept us awake.
Can we take a break?
This takes us to item D, to schedule a special town board meeting with public comments at that time regarding wake boat issue. No public comments will be taken tonight on this issue, so if I could have,
You want to mention that the letters in the packet can be reviewed at that next meeting.
Yeah.
Invite those people to speak.
anybody who has submitted a letter to the town, we appreciate that. Many of them have made the packet. And we invite you to come speak at our special meeting in person, even though you submitted your ideas or comments in writing. Thanks, Jim. So,
I guess a discussion here.
yeah, that's what
Dates.
we're having.
Can I suggest that we make sure that we schedule this once the newly elected board comes in? So we have the board that's going to deal with this for the next however long and take Supervisor Wales out of the picture, so to speak. I think
You
that
could.
that would be
I-
fair to everyone because that decision maker, whoever that will be at that special meeting then.
It's up to the board to decide how they want to schedule. My thought was, much like the ATV usage, is this something that
Yeah,
you want to put on for the annual meeting
that was
to
gonna
be discussed?
be my
which would
suggestion.
be May.
That's April
April.
15th, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would work. Everyone will be here then, right?
Well,
The
but,
elected chairman, or whoever chairperson.
but
We can take a vote on it and we could put, 3 options.
Right.
Ban, no ban, regulation, whatever, and see what the majority of people come. And if we have to move the annual meeting to the fire district, we can approach the fire district to see if we can have it there.
Agree with that.
I'm good with that.
So
just adding it to the annual meeting
Right.
agenda.
And then
Just
having the follow-up
For public
after that.
comment.
Vote would be advisory of the constituents.
Is
would be
there a-
Advisory, and then at the next meeting.
In
you would-
May.
You would address that advisory vote.
But what about
Or
hearing
a
from
special
all the
meeting.
people and hearing the rest of the presentation material
They can do that at the annual meeting.
at the annual meeting?
Yep.
But there are a lot of people
We'll have to
here
start at
that would like to present.
The annual meeting is generally pretty brief agenda.
Yeah.
And that's where all the electors can join us and hear
And they can
all of
speak.
the opinions.
We had a lot of
Absolutely.
opinions on the ATV.
Yeah.
As well.
And what date is that? The annual
April
meeting?
15th, I believe.
But then you're not gonna
Like
have
you
a-
said, we could accommodate physically.
That's a
Physically,
Tuesday.
we
I
could
believe
start
it's a
earlier.
Tuesday.
We set it at a 6:30 time, but
6:30.
if we give enough notice, we should be able to move it back to say 6 to start time.
It
have
is
to-
the 15th, correct, Kim?
April 15th,
It's a
always
Tuesday.
the third Tuesday.
Electors pick the date and time at the last. meeting.
Okay, then we have to start at 6:30.
Yeah.
And we would start at 6:30, no matter how many people are in line, just to
Right.
keep it.
We could swear in the officers and that kind of stuff first, yeah.
Swearing in of officers is done in the state, isn't it?
No, it's.
At the annual
it's
meeting.
at-
The
done at the end.
ceremonial swearing in is
Oh.
at the annual meeting.
Great.
Well, I'll make a motion that we schedule a special town board meeting on enhanced wake surfing for the April 15th annual meeting with the electors.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Hearing a motion and a second, is there any further discussion? I'm wondering if there isn't some way to have the meeting a little bit sooner so that the information can be digested. I think it would be harder to.
I don't think that's fair to
To-
the next person that's gonna be the chairperson.
Okay.
You know, I think that person, whoever that's gonna be, needs to hear everything
Right.
as well,
Have the
you know.
fully elected
It's
board.
gotta be, it's gonna have to be a roll call vote, I assume.
Absolutely.
And that person needs all the information they can get.
I'm sorry, I thought you meant moving the annual meeting.
No, I did not.
Okay.
So,
Do we want to vote on the
Motion and a second.
yeah, I have a motion and a second. Let's vote on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nay. I'd really like to see it sooner so that people have time to absorb all the information. I think it would be somewhat challenging to make a decision after being bombarded with so much information, but that's my opinion, so.
But the town board won't make a decision
We're not gonna
at
make a
the annual
decision.
meeting.
Yeah.
No, I understand that, but I just think that even to vote one of the three options might be somewhat complicated when you're bombarded with so much information.
Well, we're gonna put the vote, this is just gonna be a discussion, right?
Advisory
We don't have to vote.
Advisory
vote.
at
We don't
the,
have to vote that
at the
night.
annual
No, you're
meeting.
not.
The electors.
We're not voting on it. We're
All
asking
the
the
electors.
the
Our
electors.
electors also, but
Yeah.
I think they probably have their
Um,
opinions already.
further letters and opinions are always welcome. I've received many. I've thanked people and forwarded them to you all.
Right.
So they can keep coming.
Okay, we had a vote. The vote was 3-1. The motion carries. We will set the meeting for the next Wake Boat Enhanced informational meeting for 6:30, 6:30? 6:30 at the, on April 15th,
At the firehouse, if
if
it's
we can.
available.
Yeah. We're
Yeah.
gonna have to
Yeah.
check that.
And the annual meeting is always in the paper 2 times before the thing. It'll be on the website. It's posted in the 3 legal locations. We do our best.
Ms. Lowe?
The only other thing that you might consider doing is having that special meeting sooner where they make their presentations, it's all recorded. So then constituents can listen to that, can still have public comments then at the annual meeting. so that they have had time to review what the different organizations have presented. So have the special meetings as here,
Yeah, we
where everything is.
There's already an
Yeah.
approved motion.
So-
Yeah.
But thank you very much.
The only other suggestion is if those 3 different groups or whatever did their own tape presentations, we can put them on the website.
Okay,
Just a thought.
that's an option.
And then people can look at and review them on the website and then do their homework if they so desire.
Attorney Mills, would we want to review that before?
I would think so, and the
putting it
board
on
would
our
have to
behalf?
vote whether or not they want to approve that going on the town's official
They can
website.
put it on
Yeah.
their websites.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then would they notify the town that they have done such and we could promote it either via the
No, they
Facebook?
promote themselves.
Okay. Just checking. Any other comments? Thank you, board, for voting on that. All right. No comments then tonight on wake boating. We will take comments on April 15th. Anybody that wants to comment, please join us. Please be advised, we're now into item number 9, public comments. Please be advised that per state statute 19.84 sub 2, information may be received from the public. Comments are limited to a 4-minute period per person. Be further advised that there will be no discussion on the information received and no action will be taken regarding the public comments. Upon conclusion of this citizens' participation segment, members of the audience are not allowed further comment unless they are participating in a public hearing or if specifically allowed by a majority vote of the town board due to involvement in a specific agenda item.
Maybe wait until.
Yeah, so we'll give you guys a second.
Pardon?
Can anyone park my truck in the spot?
You taking a
I'm
recess?
down in the park.
Thank you very much
I
for
wanted
your
to pick parking, so I
participation.
got here in plenty of time.
I think Todd should put signs up or something. Well, now we can finally see all the regular people's faces.
All right.
Public
Public
comments.
Can you
Public
share it
comments?
during public
Anyone?
comments?
Mr. Reese.
4 minutes.
4 minutes.
I just have a quick question. It is in regard to the wake sports. Is that ordinance going to be a town ordinance or is that going to be specific to Lake
We
Beulah?
haven't discussed
We
that
don't
at
even know
all.
if there's going to be an ordinance.
That would be important to know at the town board meeting if it's just going to be specific to Beulah or if that's going to be a town regulated thing. Because that would impact 2 other bodies of water in the town.
Understood.
Thank you.
Anybody else with public comments?
Mr. Stolz.
And he needs to get up and come to the podium.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Are you
All right,
timing?
North 80, 71 Skirmish Bridge Road, John Stoss. All right, I'd like to make a comment here regarding what happened this afternoon down on the shore near Lindy's.
Hold on a second.
Stop.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And the door needs to be open. It's an open meeting.
Or the courtroom.
Make sure it's working.
Did you put them on pause?
Yes.
I did.
How much time I got left?
3:58.
35 seconds.
All right.
Getting louder, it's good.
I know.
Hey guys, the meeting's still going on and we're trying to listen to the end clear out, taking up a bit of the time.
Thank you. Nice teacher voice. Mr. Stills, go ahead.
Okay, so I don't know how many of you aware on the board here that there was a dangerous situation down by Dockside and Lindy's. There was a gentleman that was taking his ice shanty out on the lake with his four-wheeler side by side, and he plunged through the ice. Now, I got a report, I made a call to somebody who was actually out on the ice fishing when I called earlier this afternoon, and he told me that there's 12 inches of ice on Lake Beulah. So if you go out to the middle of the lake and you want to fish, you got to drill through 12 inches of ice to get to the water. Well, over by the shore by Lindy's and Dockside, there is 1 inch to 2 inches of ice over there. And that's why this guy fell through. He thought he had good ice to go out, but it wasn't the case. The reason we're experiencing that by Lindy's is because the sewer line that's in the ground there that goes 2.5 blocks to the north and catches everything that's put on the road as far as salt goes, brine, anything that is a de-icing agent that's put on the road is going into the lake and making the lake ice near that sewer unsafe. So I'm not asking them to have something instantly happen, but maybe we could just change what we treat the road with in that immediate area so that we don't have people falling through the ice and possibly drowning or anything like that. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Todd Shield, N9080, County Road ES. I was down there when the gentleman went through today. The outfall for the sewer has absolutely nothing to do with it. The wind had opened up the channel of ice. There was approximately 6 to 8 feet of solid ice because it's froze to the bottom. I walked out on the ice. I took pictures of the outfall. The lake level's below the outfall and is froze solid all the way out to the channel. It was just a section of wind that blew it open from being warm last week. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Joe Jones, N9033, East Miramar. I want to address,
Oh.
Sorry.
no, I'm not addressing wake boats. I'm addressing the special meeting. Can I do that?
Sure.
Okay, all right. I should look at you. I'm sorry.
You can look at all of us.
I can look at all of you, yes. So what I'm focused on is solving complex issues at the board level. And I debated whether to come up after seeing some of the cooperation going back and forth, but then I saw there really isn't any collaboration going on. So I'm going to offer this anyway for your consideration. This coming June will make 3 years I've been attending town board meetings, and I've watched countless neighbor squabbles and special interest discussions come before the board. The role of the town board is to be a catalyst to bring all sides together on any controversial topic and force them to drive it to a mutually agreeable solution for all, if possible. Not always possible, I understand that. If they cannot reach mutual resolution on their own, then the board could help facilitate the process. A committee is a great way to tackle these challenging topics, and I'm suggesting the board use this tool to handle these difficult situations. The board should carefully and deliberately consider the selection of an odd number of individuals for the committee to ensure overall neutrality. On the committee, there should be individuals representing all stakeholders, those for and against the issue, depending upon the topic, the police chief possibly, and private citizens that have no interest in whatever the topic is, so that you get a fresh level perspective. I advocated for a public hearing last month, but I am going further this month. I feel strongly that the board should establish a committee to study the damage to lake bottoms, excessive waves, general water safety, and general enforcement for all types of watercraft. Everyone comes into any discussion with some slant, whether they are a pontooner, a wake boater, a water skier, an angler, a kayaker, a paddleboarder. However, what I have noticed is there seems to be one common interest by all to do what is best for the lake and our environment. The board's mission should be to bring all of these groups together to discuss meaningful solutions for the overall concern at hand. We have multiple lakes in our town and surrounding communities, and the board should consider carefully what lakes to include in this committee. It is extremely hard to believe that most of the winter has been spent by groups digging in and demanding their desired outcome instead of reaching across the aisle and attempting to find a middle ground. We have seen groups of otherwise soft-spoken individuals be forced to come forward to defend their position. Please take action to remove this discussion from the regular town board meeting setting. I think it consumes a lot of people's time, and force these individuals into a more constructive process to hopefully resolve this issue and present multiple possible solutions. There are manufacturer and advocacy organizations that have pledged to fight this in court. You heard the gentleman talk about it. Of course, he's saying no one has been sued yet. Is it really prudent to take a strong position either way, possibly subjecting the town to potential lawsuits without going through such an extensive process? And I think a committee could take care of that and not subject everybody into that. And if there's public hearings for those people to come to, that committee could hear those and come with a solution. And I guess at least get these people talking in a room together instead of bickering across the podium. That's my suggestion. Thank you.
Wow, that was.
Thank you.
Good proposition.
Barbara Church, W1187 Beach, BEACH Road, East Troy. Today I received the following. Ms. Church, there comes a time in everyone's lives when they decide to choose another professional. H. Ms. Church, I think you can see the handwriting on the wall. You need to resign from the town board regardless of your personal feelings and emotions. The town board will be taking a new direction. Directions that you will feel very upset with. And I feel for your bodily health emotionally. My very frank advice is resign. I am not threatening any physical harm, any harm to you or your being or family. Get on board the new train that is sweeping through the town. Signed, John Tyson. So publicly, my response to Mr. Tyson or anyone else who feels that they need to harass, bully, or threaten me. I have spent more than 30 years as a middle school educator. I have survived bullying in ways you can't imagine. Do not underestimate me. I have honorably served the constituents of this community with honesty, integrity, and transparency. I do my homework. I try to do what's best for the whole town. I have given the town my best effort. I am on the ballot for the April 1st, 2025 election, running unopposed. The constituents who see my worth will decide if I should be elected. If the electoral shift is going to be based on threats and intimidation, I do hope the residents of this town take that into consideration as they cast their vote. As in any election, those who serve are chosen by the majority. With that said, I thank you for your vote. I am not resigning. Final call. Any further public comments? With that, I close. Oh, sorry. My bad.
No problem.
Larry Byer, N7264 Colbo Road. Election time of year again this year, and with that in mind, there will be another candidate forum, as we did last year. It will be March 13th at the Mugwanago Baptist Church. All the candidates that are on the ballot have been invited. Some said yes, some said no. Anyone that said no is still welcome if their situation changes. Please consider attending, ask questions either in person or anonymously. We plan to post last year's forum so that anybody that wants to see it may see how it went. March 13th, Mugwanago Baptist Church.
Thank you.
What time, Larry?
I'm sorry, 6:30.
Thank you.
And where is that church located again?
It's like 5 minutes from here. If you go out,
On
to-
No, but
go
I,
out to ES and take a left.
It's on Stone School in Honeywell.
thank you.
Basically, go up there and just take a left. It's like 5 minutes.
It's a really good event
Thank
to
you.
answer questions.
Okay, last call. Anybody else for public comments?
Can I respond to that public comment?
Sure.
Or just make my own public comment. I did receive the invitation, but unfortunately I already have scheduled to be out of state that week. So I will consider preparing at least a statement or some of my opinions to be shared at that forum.
I have a comment as well, if I can, on something else.
Uh,
I want to make
Name
sure
and
that
address.
everyone knows that Tyson Leonard and John Tyson are two different people.
Oh, totally.
I just want the public to know that they don't get confused, please. Thank you. Tyson Leonard, NE324 Greenwald Court. Or Ty, I like that.
Nice job. I hope I didn't.
No, I get scared.
So,
I hear Tyson in it.
got it.
Is that why you're doing this?
Any final public comments? Hearing none, I close public comments. Number 10, reports of committee, chairman and/or supervisor reports. The chairman's activity report was in the agenda. And he also listed his Tri-Troy accomplishments and the future. Anything else?
Related to his report,
Yes.
the responses for the Beach Road replacement I see were due on February 7th.
I have a whole stack of them that you all have to read and score by February 28th.
So are we going to schedule a meeting for that?
Well,
We're going to have to.
Yeah.
I'm glad you all have your engineering degrees.
We'll-
Your civil engineering.
We'll have those available for you tomorrow by end of day.
Yeah, and she's gonna make them digital.
And what is the deadline you're putting on?
February 28th is the contractual deadline.
To select the award for the grant money?
I believe
Is
so.
it to award?
I
thought we
believe,
were cutting it down to 3 or something.
Yeah.
I believe
what-
Mr. Superintendent Shield will help us with, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, it's read through them, score them, and narrow them down to 3.
Okay.
If I may
Okay.
speak.
Yes, please.
When I received the resignation letter from Mr. Klarkowski, I told him he needs to turn in his files. And when I specifically mentioned the Beach Road bridge, and that bids have been coming in, he indicated that he would do a detailed memo. I don't know if it's going to be in steps, but I will reach out if the board wishes me to. He's probably watching, so he knows the motion to resign was approved.
Would you like us to authorize you?
Any one of you could do it if you don't want me to reach out.
No.
Reach out to the chairman and see if he'll have a memo on that particular project available for the board to
Guide us through.
review
You wanna
for
recognize
guidance.
Todd?
I talked to Joe Klarkowski. He will give us a detailed step by step, the order on how we have to do it.
Right, but he doesn't have like the proposals to review.
No, I
No,
have.
he doesn't.
Jean and
I have-
Kim
So it's
do.
just the process that he would advise us on.
Right.
Right.
I didn't know that was part of being elected, was to have an engineering degree, Mrs. Buchanan.
You should have read the fine print, my friend.
Okay, chairman's report. Any other further questions on the chairman's report? Supervisor Church's report is in the packet. Any questions on that? All right. Letter B, Media and IT, Web Administrator Olson, for discussion and possible approval of website update proposal.
Are there any questions on what was submitted?
I guess, can you give us a little bit of insight? From what I understood, this would upgrade our website, and it would be a cost that we would have to pay anyway in October. So if we approve it now, it would actually be a lot faster process. So that's what I understood.
Is the cost,
Go ahead.
is the cost, I understood it to be the same. Am I understanding that wrong?
Either way, we're gonna have the additional cost. And when I spoke to Jelena, on Friday, she agreed to have all of that baked into the October payment. So we don't have to pay early the $1,200, that would just be added in. But either way, they're going to charge us the $1,200 because we have to upgrade out of WordPress.
So the $1,200 is additional.
Correct.
And what are
it's a
some,
one-time fee.
sorry, what are some of the benefits of moving away from WordPress?
It appears that it's just making it more glitchy and we're having problems with some of the uploads. Like when a packet was uploaded this last month, Adobe was fighting with WordPress and it made it sideways. No idea why. Did it, had to rescan, completely delete that file, make a new file, and then it worked. It didn't really make sense. They had to put putz with it on their end to make it work. So it's just little things like that. And from what they've said, it'll go smoother. So once you highlight over, like where you go to government now and you have to click on it, you won't have to click on it. You'll just be able to hover and things like that, that make it just a little bit more user friendly.
Okay. By going to it now versus when we pay in October, will we have, I saw the PowerPoint and read the packet. Does that mean that we have the opportunity to play with some of the new materials that are being made available through this process?
Yes, and they offered us to give feedback as well. So if there are things that we like how it's working or we maybe don't like how it's working, we can kind of work that out because they're not going live with all of the users until after October.
Okay.
So
But are we allowed to get out of it before, if we use it now, can we say no in October
I thought, yes.
if we didn't like it?
Because I don't believe we're signing the October contract until October, correct?
So we can use it for a few months or 6 months, and if we don't like it, still figure something else
We can-
out
Yeah, we
or
can start investigating.
investigate.
Did they say how long they've been on WordPress, that they figured this is the only way to?
I think they just rebuilt. I don't think that they had the opportunity or the technology to build it. Now they have all the people in place that are building it. So they found something they really liked.
It's been at least 10 to 12 years. So it's been a long time.
And still.
When we first went with them, it was literally copy and paste for agendas, minutes, stuff like that.
Attorney Mills.
Yes, I don't know if this has anything to do with WordPress versus the PDFs that you send to me as
doesn't.
email attachments. Okay. Because some of those
It's the way it
come in
Mhm.
wonky too.
It's the way it scans.
Okay.
It's not WordPress. It's
No.
the way it scans. We do have another program now that allows us to turn individual pages within a PDF document so that they are all the correct orientation.
Okay.
We just have to take the time to review that before something is posted.
And as we discussed, I think before, when we first upgraded the website, you struggled with support, but that has improved.
It has. Jerica is the young lady I've been talking to most recently, and she responds mostly same day. I usually don't have to wait for her, and she's one of the actual designers. So if I tag like her actual email address plus support, they get right on it. So
Is she stateside versus offshore?
she is.
Okay.
Most of them have become more stateside, I've noticed. So that's been a huge improvement.
Okay.
So you don't see any disadvantage to starting early
Not yet.
from what you've heard?
Not yet.
All right,
Board, do we have pleasure?
I'll make a motion to approve the website update proposal as presented.
Second?
Hearing a motion from Supervisor Johnner and a second from Supervisor Reyes. Any further discussion?
Do you want to make that contingent upon review, or is just this email is the proposal?
They have an entire packet
No,
with a
this is-
PowerPoint.
Okay, I don't have that.
I don't have that either in my pack.
No, it was in your mailbox. It came after you guys picked up packets. So it's in your mailbox.
So are we discussing now?
Yeah, we're in discussion.
So what is this? I just want to understand. Are you making a motion to approve and go ahead and pay for this now?
We don't have to pay until October.
Not
I
until
know,
October.
But we're,
They're gonna do the update.
To just
And
do
we're
the
gonna
update.
And we're
then
gonna play with it, and then we'll decide.
Yeah. And then if we don't like it, we can move off of it. It's kind of a win-win for everyone. It's gonna make their jobs easier, and I think it's a good deal.
I think it might be more interactive or easier
Yeah.
interaction with the public, yes?
I think so. And I like just having the feedback because then we have their ear and we can get those things in that maybe work better for us. Did you want this packet?
Yes, please.
Isn't that the same as what you have?
I don't.
Here, I'll give it back.
I have one. He stole it from me. I don't have.
No,
anything.
I just wanted to look at it.
I handed it
I
to,
didn't have the map. I don't have this. I don't know what's
Everything
happening.
I saw.
so we have a motion on the floor and a second to go ahead to authorize Ms. Olson to go ahead and initiate the update and to practice it so that we have a better conceptual idea of whether to approve this purchase in October. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, hearing a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Let us know how it goes.
I'm excited.
All right, Department of Public Works Superintendent Shield. And thank you for your input on the accident on the ice. So I didn't know anything.
I'll have my brief little report. There wasn't much. The winter's gonna finally hit
Knock
us.
on wood.
Winter's gonna hit us this week, the way it sounds, Wednesday and Saturday.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
And Saturday. And
So-
Wednesday.
But like in my report, talked to Nick, town of Troy. We got together, we ordered the new boom mower that was in the budget. And we ordered the new sweeper for our spring cleanup and shouldering projects throughout the summer. Talked to the distributor on that today and should be here this week. The boom mower was still like a 12-week out, and that was 2 weeks ago when I ordered it. Don't have much.
And as an FYI, I will, on this, I don't think we made enough copies, but I have like the layout required for the potential new equipment, the pad that we're purchasing for the park.
Oh, okay.
That excellent.
You can have this one, if you don't mind.
Perfect, that'd be great. Thank you. The second page is like the
On the back.
pad that we have to do for that walker and,
Oh, okay.
um,
Yeah, I know we talked about it. Yeah.
yep, so we're gonna vote on that tonight.
Okay. So I can see where we gotta dig out and put it. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll figure that out one day when you guys have one of your meetings. I'll show up and we'll figure out where it's gotta go.
Thank you.
I had a quick question. We had a parks meeting the other day and the DNR said that you guys have worked with them in the past, just like if it got real bad on that DNR path to Army Lake.
Yeah,
Like
I got a contact, I'm trying to remember his name. Yeah, like in the wintertime with snow that gets blown in there, we've taken the loader down there and opened it up for them.
Okay.
and or if a tree goes down that they can't handle.
So you have a relationship with them a
Yeah.
little bit, whatever, okay.
Yeah.
And you're okay with this?
Yeah,
Okay.
for the little bit that we have
Yeah.
to do to open stuff up like that, yeah.
Awesome.
But as far as,
Is that Travis Schrader? Is that who you're thinking of?
I want to say his last name is Jax, Jacquees, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
do believe that's it, yeah.
So,
They're good guys to work with, a couple of guys that I've been in contact with.
Jim Jackley and something Jax. I don't remember. Thank you, Mr. Shields. All right. Item E, the East Troy Area Emergency Services District report. I put that in the packet. I can tell you that there were.
Wait, you skipped the police report.
Oh,
There is
police,
none.
there is none.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. The chief is out of town and will provide us with the report for this month and next month.
Was surprised to hear the chief and the deputy chief were out at the same time.
I think it's the conference setting that they go to, that they both have different classes to attend with that. So I don't think they do it any other time but this time, because I think it's a state conference
It is.
and it's for chiefs and assistant chiefs.
Yeah,
So-
I just wonder if other
Which we
communities
didn't
go
have
like
before.
every other year, yeah.
Alternate.
But I see we have Officer Medina on the job, we're good.
All right, back to item E, the East Troy Area Emergency Services District report. The end of the year totals were in. There were 232 fire calls, again, a record. And there were 1,069 EMS calls through the month of December. I can tell you that all of the labeling on the dive trailer, the tracks for ATV or UTVs that we aren't using, and the engine have been removed, and those have been placed on for purchase sites with the bids due by 3:00 on February 21st, I think. It's 3:00 before my next board meeting, which is February 18th. So they're due at 3:00 on February 18th. Bids will be opened on February 18th at the board meeting for the board to consider the offers. Any other questions on the fire? Hearing none, I will move on to Park Committee report. Supervisor Reyes.
Yeah, there were a couple of things in our meeting on February 3rd. We talked about the potential for a trolley platform. And one of the questions we had was related to where the proposed bike path might be going. And I know Chairman Clarkowski was involved in that. Obviously, if we're gonna make like a permanent platform, we're thinking it would be in the railroad's right of way, right, on actually their property, but we wanted to make sure. So I don't know who has.
We can't put something in the railroads right away. You simply cannot without their permission.
Right.
Right, we would work with.
And the liability
Well,
issue.
that
is
way it would be
so-
their liability,
Right.
because it's in their property.
Yeah.
That's the intent.
But if we put it up, do we have to assume the liability?
I don't think they'd let us put it in there right away.
I don't think so either.
Without an agreement.
Well, they have, to. It's gonna be right by the tracks for people to get off, right? It's a platform.
But
So wouldn't that be in there right away?
Why aren't they
Next to
doing
it?
this?
Yeah.
So we're looking into getting some volunteers and potentially doing this. Again, it's early on, so we don't have any numbers, we don't have any drawings, but it
Have
was
you-
something the citizens.
Have you spoke to the railroad?
We have.
No. No, you don't.
Yeah. They said, we did talk about their plans versus our plans, some of those kind of things, so we would like to understand where the pathway is currently expected to go.
I believe the trail that you're speaking of is in the hands of the village and it is being, they're doing the planning grant for that. Or
Right.
we received
Right.
they received the planning grant for it. And so I believe they have the control over the mapping. I can't completely answer that. But at last, I heard that since the village submitted the planning grant and it was awarded to the village, they have the control over the mapping at this juncture.
That would be another file that would need to be turned over by the ex-chairman.
And we do have some documents that were dropped off, and one of them was the Beach Road project, and then there were 3 other additional boxes that haven't been reviewed yet.
Okay.
All right. The other, as we heard last month, Ken and Rick Zess have done some work. They were familiar with the pathway on the Army Lake property from years ago. There was a horse trail, that was his understanding, there was a camp as part of the seminary property, or there was a camp there was a horse trail.
The Army Lake Park.
Yeah.
Army Lake used to
Divine
have
Word.
horses that would go back through. They created a trail. So Ken and his brother basically took over that, used that trail to start a walking trail, which myself and a member from the community went out, Mr. Jones, with Ken the other day, walked it. It is right now about a 1.5 mile loop. And it's really cool. I mean, it's very neat what is going on out there. I think it's going to be a great asset for the community once we get it finished. So,
is there like public parking?
Yeah.
Available?
We're working with the DNR.
We're working with the DNR on that.
That's why the
There needs
question
to be a
becomes-
land use agreement because there is a small area of theirs plus the parking
Yeah.
that Michelle's been in contact with.
Yeah, the DNR would be interested in allocating 4 to 5 parking stalls for the patrons that would be using the park. And the steps would be land use agreement with the DNR, obviously, that we'd have to review. A yearly fee that the DNR usually has associated with those land use agreements. They would consider some services in exchange, but Todd left now. That's why we were kind of asking.
When you talk about fees, excuse me for interrupting, but when you talk about fees, are you talking about user fees to the people who use it or from the
Annual
town?
fee between the town and the
Okay.
DNR.
Okay.
To allocate those spaces. So we did ask like an estimate of what it would be because they were talking about, well, if the town could plow and help with trees and some other thing, but they had quite a list. So we asked, what would the annual fee be? It was only $500 a year. So if we get some more details, yeah, we can obviously make a decision, but there's a few steps to go for sure.
And that could
Land use
maybe
agreement.
go into the impact fee. People pay for parks
So,
to help offset that $500.
so those are the things that we're making good progress on related to
Yeah.
the Army Lake property.
Cool.
If I can say, I think I've been here for 28 years. I never knew that we owned that land. And what an awesome asset that'll be for the community if we can get it up and going, because it's just sitting there doing nothing. And the minimal amount, I don't want to, I guess it wasn't minimal amount of work, but to get that going, it's going to be great. It's going to be a great thing, I think.
It would require some signage. It would be, walking path only, like no bikes, no motorized vehicles, any of that kind of stuff, no campfires, all those restrictions that we
No
have
guns.
related to the
No
property.
guns, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, there's things that need to happen, but
It's pretty
encouraging
minimal,
the response, or the
If
progress we're making.
it'd be cool for not downhill, cross-country skiing,
Or
if we ever got enough
snowshoeing.
snow around here.
Or
If it's
snowshoeing.
wide enough, I don't know.
That would be questionable, I think. I don't know, we have to see, but.
But it's
Yeah.
cross-country skiing is just like walking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can walk it, you can ski it.
Well, I think, I mean, I'm not a cross-country
Some of the
skier, but I
grades.
think if someone's walking and someone's skiing, it's two different things. I think they like the tracks, right?
Yeah.
To stay the same, but.
Ask if the
I'm no
DNR
cross-country
has on
skier.
their restriction list, dogs.
Good question.
Bikes. We said.
No bikes.
No bikes.
No bikes.
Yeah,
Or motorized vehicles.
right,
I think it's part of the deed restrictions
Yep.
from
No
the
motorized.
Yep.
Salvation Army.
absolutely. So yeah, we're making good progress, and we'll keep working through it. So
So
the last thing is, yep,
that was, what meeting did you say that was?
we had some public comments on that at the February meeting, and we started a lot of that work at the November meeting.
Okay.
So, lastly, in your packets, there is the Airwalker and the fitness bike that we've talked about purchasing for the Jim Burns Park here.
Right.
It was, originally, we had a quote for $67.50. However, when I followed up to get the lead time and the update, of course, it's now 2025, so there was a price increase, you will see from the quotes. So we need to modify. We would like to ask the board to authorize the purchase of the ExoFit Airwalker and fitness bike for $7,043 out of our current budget. The last I checked was $7,200.
So you have 7,200 in the budget?
We have in park development, if you ever
Yeah.
read
We get it
your
when we
treasurer's
come. We get
report,
it when we arrive.
there's over $9,000 in the park development fund.
So we would have enough for
To
perhaps
outright
the
purchase.
cover, the,
$7,043.
to cover the DNR,
Yeah, the 500 for
the 500 for the
Well,
DNR.
we'd have to
that
get the
would-
land use agreement by then.
That'll happen by
And we
the end of
had
the year, our next budget time.
$5,000 set aside.
Yeah.
The other thing we have to
Raises
take,
that motion.
we're gonna need a little money for the concrete or whatever, but yeah.
Right.
Got a
So,
motion, so
Well, I'll make a motion that we, can I do this? Make a motion that we, purchase the ExoFit Airwalker and fitness bike for the amount of $7,043.
Does that include shipping?
Yes.
yes.
And how long is the quote good for? Because I'm afraid with tariffs, something might happen.
He did not set a limitation. That was the 2025 list price.
It's effective until.
You still have 30 days until those go into
3-4.
effect, right?
Thank you,
Yeah.
Jean.
That's what it says in
Better
the
get it
small
all
print.
now.
I made a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Supervisor Leonard and a second by Supervisor Reyes to use $7,043 from the park budget of $9,000 towards the purchase of a ExoFit Airwalker and fitness bike. Does that include like the pad that you talked to Todd about?
That would,
That's
It
just
does
the
not.
equipment.
That's just the equipment?
If we have enough extra money
But
there,
we wanna
that
get
we
it
can do.
purchased, so we can.
I am so glad I found these things when I went
Okay.
to my conference.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any other discussion? On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion, any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 4-0.
and the other comment, just related to the Parks Committee, the map was in the packets. And the green outline area is the town land. And so the orange over on the right side is the area that was cleared for the potential path. You'll see where it makes the loop, and then where it goes beyond that and up the top of the page. Obviously, that is the old path, and it was not cleared, and there was some brush kind of put where it goes off like
Right.
that.
So he
Disturbing.
blocked that, so no one could go into Divine, the Divine Word Seminary. So they couldn't block it.
Not there, no.
Eventually,
Right.
yeah. So, just as an FYI to explain that.
Thank you for explaining that because I wondered what that was for. Thank you. All right. Thank you for your park committee report. Item G, Booth Lake Memorial Park Supervisor Reyes.
And that was just left at our tables this evening. That was the December meeting. In the January meeting, it's pretty quick and brief. There's some trees that we're working to get down, and there will be another swim event on May 31st this year at the park.
Is that a triathlon again or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they have some, it's already out for registration and stuff.
I have a question. Has the ice rink been used? Has it been put up?
Well, we don't meet over there anymore. There hasn't been, I don't know.
They spent over $10,000 on that ice rink.
Oh, up on the top.
Yes.
You're talking about, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, did the fire district, they would have to.
I haven't heard.
The village donated the water.
It's not up there.
But,
Yeah. Yeah,
That might be a question.
right, I can find out.
because that was a huge expense for the park, but it's a shame if it's never put up and used.
Should be cold enough to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
it all
been kind of
depends on
up and
winter,
down
but
on the weather.
We've kind of had ice this year.
Up and down.
There's ice.
Yeah.
Lots of ice.
Yeah. So there
Just be
could be a nice
careful on
rink.
it.
Kids could skate.
12 inches. All right. Thank you for the Booth Lake Memorial Park update. Item H, Lake Beulah Management District report from Representative Thomas. I don't believe he's
He is not
here.
available tonight, but he
but
did submit
he
the
did
report.
That's in your packet. Item I, Recycling Committee report, Mr. Murphy.
None to report of the recycling tonight.
Item J, Library report, Mr. Murphy for Ms. Murphy.
Yes, this is the library report from East Troy Lions Public Library Board meeting of 14 January 2025. Number one, recreational passes to the Milwaukee Zoo and the Mitchell Park Conservatory domes have been added for checkout by library patrons. The passes are courtesy of the Friends of the Library, purchased from proceeds from the fall play. Number two, the board approved a request to the village board for the release of impact fees for a conceptual design for future library expansion. Number three, expanded Monday library hours are in effect. The library is now open until 7 p.m. on Monday. And that is all.
Thanks, Mrs. Murphy, and Mr. Murphy, thank Christina for us. All right, Planning Commission report, Supervisor Johnner.
Nothing to report.
Can I say thanks? Moving to item 11, unfinished business, approved compost site agreement.
There were some questions last month, I believe, regarding the insurance provisions. Those have been
Addressed. And our neighbors have all got their certificates of insurance for the town.
That's Exhibit B.
Okay.
So
So
I
that
think it's
means
good to
we're
go.
listed as additional insured on their insurance?
They're listed as
It's our
additional
insurance.
on
Okay.
ours.
Okay.
So it's all good to go.
And do we need to sign that document?
Well, someone needs to make a motion.
I'll make a
to
motion
approve.
that we approve the compost site agreement.
Second.
Hearing a motion and a second, all in favor of approving the compost site agreement? Say
Aye. Aye.
aye. Motion carries 4-0. Item 12, new business, resolution 2025-01, updating chargeback rates for the town of East Troy for 2025.
Resolution 2025.01 or -01, whereas the town of East Troy has in place an ordinance permitting the town board to adjust on an annual basis chargeback rates to reflect the actual costs incurred by the town of East Troy in participating in public projects of other works where requested. Now therefore be it resolved by the town board of the town of East Troy, Walworth County, Wisconsin, that the following chargeback rates shall apply for the year 2024. DPW level 1, regular hourly rate, $57.40. DPW level 1, overtime rate, $79.15. DPW level 2, regular hourly rate, $52.26. DPW level 2, overtime rate, $71.46. DPW level 3, regular hourly rate, $42.61. DPW level 3, overtime rate, $61.06. Oops, sorry. It should be 2025.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
Thank you.
Part-time, DPW level 4, regular hourly rate for part-time snowplow drivers, $28.56. Admin level 1, regular hourly rate, $54.23. Admin level 1, overtime rate, $74.40. Admin level 2, regular hourly rate, $46.37. Admin level 2, overtime rate, $62.63. Admin level 3, regular hourly rate, $28.64. Admin level 3, overtime hourly rate, $42.95. This resolution ratifies the action of the town board of the January town board meeting, should be February. Town board meeting such that these rates shall apply to the entire calendar year 2025, dated this 10th day of February 2025.
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve.
Wait, we need to amend this resolution at the top.
To the 2025, yeah, Jim
Yeah.
caught that already.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll clean it up. and get it.
Can I finish my motion now?
Yeah.
And then we can discuss?
Yeah. Mr. Leonard, Supervisor
Make a
Leonard.
motion that we approve resolution 2025-01 with the amendments of the year 2025 and
The month.
the month from January to February.
Second.
Can I ask a question?
Discussion, yes.
It looks like, just rough math in my head, is there a reason the DPW, like regular rate versus overtime rate, it doesn't look like it's time and a half, 1.5?
It, time and a half plus,
Insurance,
Ins-
benefits.
retirement and
Oh,
Medicare,
so that's,
FICA.
we talked about that last time, you
Yep.
can't double that piece of it.
Yeah.
But it's,
But
and
not-
that's the same on the admin?
Yes.
Because in my head, 54 plus
Yeah.
20.
You caught that last year, so I fixed it in my spreadsheet, so this is,
Okay.
yeah.
But if you look at DPW level 2, regular rate is 52.26. If you take half of that and add 26,
13.
27.
Oh, half of it, okay.
That is different for each person.
Okay.
Based on what they've chosen for their plan and so
I
forth.
think that's where you might have been going.
Yeah. So the base rate includes all the benefits, but the time and a half
Base rate
does not.
is hourly wage, FICA, health, life, retirement.
And overtime is what?
The same, however, health and life stayed the same.
You don't double charge. for the-
Correct. Retirement is
Benefits.
Makes
obviously
sense to
higher
me.
because the amount is higher, and FICA is higher because it's a higher wage.
All right.
Any
Thank you.
further questions? I have a motion from Supervisor Leonard and seconded by Supervisor Johnner to approve the resolution 2025-01, resolution updating chargeback rates for the town of East Troy. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay. Item 13, attorney report, Mr. Mills.
Yes.
Sorry.
First item is an update to the board regarding a buffer yard requirement for Oak Ridge Cemetery and the Starbucks. So it's a little bit of a misnomer because there was no village requirement for a buffer yard for the outlot where the Starbucks sits. So in the memo that I presented, I spoke with Ray Gooden, who's part of the Anderson Group that was in discussions with the cemetery board. And this memo is, that I'll just read, is a summary of the telephone discussion that we had. Says I was able to speak with Ray Gooden regarding the quote buffer yard and quote requirements that the village of East Troy reportedly had per my authorization to investigate. I have a call into Eileen at the village as I was not able to view the Plan Commission videos where this issue was discussed as they predated the earliest video available to view online. Per Mr. Gooden, there were no requirements from the village providing a buffer. He indicated that he was contacted by Tom, he thought Sempt,
Yes.
and met with the cemetery board a couple of times to discuss the issue. He, as in Mr. Gooden, wanted to help out, but did not want to go back to the drawing board with the village as he already had approval. Mr. Gooden indicated that his involvement was voluntary and he was trying to be a good neighbor. Mr. Gooden advised he could not plant anything on the Starbucks side, but agreed that if the cemetery wanted to plant trees as a buffer on its side, he would split the cost. He also explained, it should be say that if the trees were on the cemetery property, maintenance would have to fall on the cemetery board. Initially, there was an agreement per Mr. Gooden for one tree every 6 feet at a cost of $12,000. Mr. Gooden was okay with that estimate. He reported that the amount kept changing. He then reported that he was told the cemetery wanted to plant 70 trees for the cost of $30,000. That is when he sent the message that he was done. I asked how many of the 4 outlots bordered the cemetery. Mr. Gooden advised that lot 1 is the Starbucks property. The next property to the north along ES is a dry retention pond. Mr. Gooden indicated that he will incorporate some buffer for new developments for the outlots, but that was never a requirement for the Starbucks parcel. He believes the property looks better now than the old home and junk cars that are gone. He did confirm that he is still open to be a good neighbor and would reconsider assisting with the cost of the trees if they came in at a reasonable amount. And then he threw out the figure $3,000 to $4,000. But he said he would consider a reasonable estimate. So I guess you're back to.
But I'm asking, is he saying only $3,000 to $4,000 total or?
His portion, I believe.
Okay.
Do we know why he says they cannot be placed on the Starbucks side of the property?
I do not know.
Physical space?
I don't even know if there's space available on that.
Plus,
side.
I assume they don't want the maintenance, right?
Yeah, he doesn't want to deal
He's
with
concerned
maintenance
about the
either.
maintenance, yeah.
We did revise our plan, which I had told the village that I would get them an update on it.
Okay.
Because initially, we were going for, the Cadillac because of what was all taken away. We were initially going for 6-foot trees, 6 feet on center, which was the extension of the entire going down Road 1 and along the retention pond. Well, trying to be good neighbors on our part, we figured that we could have 5-foot trees, 8 feet on center for the road. And then along the retention pond, put in a 2-rail vinyl fencing. Not what we want, but that knocks the price down from the 30,000 down to just under 20,000. So he's not aware of that yet. I was gonna present that to the village tomorrow.
Has a village, I got the impression, because the village did not have any requirements, that this was all voluntary on Mr. Gooden's part, and I didn't even know they were part of the discussion.
They've been in a discussion all the way.
Okay.
And
I'm
that,
still waiting to hear back from Eileen, that's why I
Yeah,
don't
that-
know.
that goes back to the fact that according to all the documentation I've seen, which I presented the last time I was here, and Ray Gooden had signed off on that. The village requirement was not to remove more than 25% of the trees. In fact, he removed, I'd say 98% of the trees. He just clear cut everything.
So that was Mr. Gooden that removed
Right,
98% of the trees.
So I mean, initially, even when the talk was about the Starbucks going there and a buffer, we assumed, okay, if he's only removing 25% of the trees, it's not going to be an impact. Well, when he took everything, that changes the game.
Right. Understood. So until I hear back from the village, I don't have any further update. But apparently that text that was received saying he's done, he's willing to start a discussion again.
Yeah.
So
I can present this to the village tomorrow, and he can present it to Ray, but it's still going to be over his $3,000.
however you want to handle it, I don't think the town board is
No, we're not.
taking an active role in
No,
this.
we came to you for some guidance and some extra
To
help.
get it moving again.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's why we kind of revised things to, let's drop the price down, get it done.
Okay.
Ray's tired of it. I'm extremely tired of it.
I'm sure that's very difficult.
He did
on the
indicate
cemetery.
that negotiating with the cemetery board or trees took longer than negotiating with the village to get his proposal done.
Well, then he should have,
Easy, easy.
yeah. He should have lived up to what he signed off for.
Agree.
So, could I have a copy of that?
Of the memo?
Yeah.
I guess it would be up to the board. There's no real attorney work product and there's no real legal opinion there. It was just an update from a phone call. So if you want to waive any potential attorney-client privilege, I don't have a problem with it myself.
We don't have a problem waiving the
Thank you.
attorney-client privilege.
See where it goes.
Okay,
Okay,
good luck to you.
thank you.
Ray was the one that at the meeting came up with a proposal verbally. He said, I'll pay a third, village will pay a third, cemetery pays a third.
Okay,
Okay.
that might put him in a range that he'd be comfortable with and if you each pay a third.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Good
You're
luck.
welcome.
Thank you.
Motion to authorize Attorney Mills to update the burn ordinance regarding fire pits. Is all you need is a motion?
Well, I did have notes that came from an email from Mr. Jones that you had forwarded.
Right.
And, before I attempt a draft at something, the board needs to tell me what it is that they want to approve. So I don't know if you want to read what the suggestion was on an ordinance, starting at the bottom. If you want, I could read it too.
Could you?
Sure. This is to Barb from Mr. Jones as follows, last month's presentation. Mr. Jones, you don't have a problem with me reading this, do you? Okay.
Want me to read it?
No, that's fine. I can read it. It says, Barb, thanks for the explanation. I know a grill is not a gas fire pit. However, a gas fire pit is a design piece of equipment, much like a grill. The design features are subject to many safety agencies including the NFPA, ANSI, and other national and sometimes international bodies which establish safety and design. My concern for addressing my comments to the board was to make sure that we address all other forms of portable gas appliances which are designed to sit on a patio / deck or a patio table. As I stated, many bars use propane gas portable heating units on their patios to keep patrons warm while they enjoy a beverage or sandwich. As many are on top of hotels on the roof where they set up bars. With all other gas devices being utilized by people and the design nature of these devices, which are subject to so many safety bodies, it makes sense to call these devices out in the code in the same consideration that gas grills are referenced. Therefore, it might state, quote, except for property installed / used devices, that being grills, portable gas heaters, gas fireplaces, etc., everything should be subject to the 25-foot restriction. Note, please follow manufacturer's recommendations for sidewall and ceiling restrictions. I thought the contractor's request presented a great opportunity to make one update to the ordinance and include common day items people are using today. Thank you for your consideration of my suggestions. P.S. I did contact Chief DeGaro today to see when he could present his workshop presentation. It sounds like it would be exceptionally helpful to me in understanding what the town and citizens by extension are facing. Thanks for the suggestion. So any ordinance update should not specifically refer to what was presented in January regarding that one patio-sized table with a fire element in it.
And I believe the original proposal, though, was less than 25 feet from the house. I believe it was like 9 feet.
Well, I think Chief DeGaro, if he has different distances,
He did not.
depending on what the appliance is, that should be spelled out so everyone knows what our ordinance requires or doesn't require.
Okay.
So if he doesn't, then maybe a flat 25-foot restriction
That seems crazy.
from the house.
Sounds like we need some more research.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Who's gonna-
Um,
I thought they were
I
anywhere
mean-
from 3 feet to 10 feet at the last.
What,
Yeah, I think 10 feet was the area that Mr. Coleman wanted to install a gas fire pit because it was on the designed patio that he was working on.
And what were the manufacturer's instructions, if any, on
I
placement?
think 3 feet,
Okay, that's,
a big difference.
I
And
talked to Chief and he made it sound like, I don't want to put any words in his mouth, but I understood him to just basically say to go off what the manufacturer
Which is-
suggested.
what I think we said at the last meeting,
Yeah,
okay.
so.
but the different manufacturers,
Right.
different,
And I believe I asked
Whatever. I
Mr.
just don't-
Coleman to look into whether or not the insurance company would insure the property with the installation of that pit at a, I think it was 9 feet, 5 inches, if I'm not mistaken.
You asked the homeowner if his homeowner's insurance
No,
would
I
cover it?
asked Mr. Coleman to look into whether or not the distance that he wanted to install the gas fire pit
Okay.
impacted the homeowner's insurance. Because that's the bottom line.
It's a town,
Can we table this?
Yeah.
you can,
We got,
you
I
can.
make a motion, we table this until we get more information
Maybe, if
on.
Mr.
the-
Jones doesn't mind sharing, if you haven't discussed, the contents of this email?
I have not.
Do you mind if that happens? Because I'm sure there's other things other than the portable heat lamps and these fire tables that are used for decorative purposes mostly, that our ordinance should spell out.
So what do you, besides sharing this, what is it that do we need to get?
Ask if there is a more extensive list of items that, pardon?
Where are we going to ask for that list?
Chief DeGaro, if he's aware of anything other than these fire tables, the heat lamps.
All right, so I make a motion that we table this until we receive more information from Chief DeGaro on the distance regarding fire pits
And other devices.
and other burning devices, fire devices.
I'll second.
Okay.
Hearing a motion from Supervisor Leonard and a second from Supervisor Reyes to table the review of the burn pit ordinance until we have further information from Chief DeGaro. On the motion, any further discussion? On the motion, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0.
The final item is authorizing me to meet with Building Inspector Vince Fudiak to update the town's building permit fee schedule.
I put that on the agenda because Vince approached me so we can get it updated because our fee schedule is way low compared to other municipalities in the area.
Okay.
I make a motion to authorize Attorney Mills to meet with our building inspector to update the building permit fee schedule.
Second.
Hearing a motion from Supervisor Reyes and a second by Supervisor Johnner to authorize the attorney to meet with the building inspector regarding building permit fee schedules. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 4-0. License and special event permits, Clerk Buchanan.
The first one is a fundraising event for Bloom 360 at N8921 Stoneskill Road on April 12th. And a temporary Class B liquor license for that same event. It's the same fundraiser they do every year. Chief has reviewed and approved.
I make a motion, we approve the special event permit for Bloom 360 at North 8921 Stone School Road on April 12th.
We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing a motion and a second on the motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0.
Next, I have peddlers permits for Weedman Lawn Care. This is probably the third or fourth year that they've done these. For Andrew Hensterly, Lucas Peterson, Jacob Zellner, Matthew Weichert, Andrew Rathbone, Dylan Shane, and Matthew Reese. The police chief did background checks on all candidates and they passed in.
Motion to approve.
Can I ask,
Okay, go ahead.
what is that? What are they,
A peddler's permit is that allows them to go door to door.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And usually they just put a hanger on your doorknob.
Yeah, I didn't know if they were,
Yeah.
bicyclists or dog walkers. I figured something.
Supervisor Johnner, do you want to finish that?
Motion to approve peddler permits for Weedman Lawn Care.
Second.
Thank you. Hearing a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried 4-0. Special and pending meetings, Ms. Buchanan. I know.
Come on, shoot with all the meetings on. I got stuck with something else, I guess. All right. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. is the public test of the voting equipment. February 18th from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. is the spring primary. February 18th at 5:30 is the ETEASD meeting. February 19th at 6:30 is the Booth Lake Park Board meeting. February 19th at 6:30 is the Planning Commission, the second Planning Commission meeting for February. March 5th and 19th at 6:30 Planning Commission meetings. March 10th is the next town board meeting. March 18th through the 21st, 8 to 4 is in-person absentee. March 24th through the 27th, 8 to 4 in-person absentee. March 28th, 8 to 5 in-person absentee for the spring election, which is April 1st. March 28th at 9 a.m., there's a WTA district meeting and board of review training in Whitewater. April 1st, again, is the spring election from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. April 14th is the April town board meeting, and April 15th at 6:30 is the annual meeting.
We have also scheduled a Parks Committee on March 3rd at 5:30.
3:30 at 5:30.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I had requested potentially rescheduling the March town board meeting, as I will be unavailable on the 10th. There are other dates, the 3rd or the 17th.
I thought we talked about the 3rd. I feel like-
17th, I still have a potential conflict.
That's right.
So March 3rd, I'd be okay with March 3rd.
After our parks meeting?
I should be able to do the 3rd.
Okay.
I'm good with the 3rd, or.
That's funny.
That's kind of early for the
There'll
bank.
be no treasurer's report.
It's too early.
We've had that
It's too early in
before.
the month. What?
We've had that before when we didn't have a treasurer's report.
Usually I give you at least a blurb. So,
But it's coming off right after the election, isn't it?
well, the election's the 18th, February 18th.
So we could do the 24th?
Do you want to do the
It has to
3rd
be
with
a
no?
Monday,
Is the 24th better, Kim?
24th is better. I mean, we have in-person absentee that week, but that's definitely
can do
better.
the
17th,
I
you
could-
can't do, right?
You can, you can do the.
As of
24th.
right now, I'm not sure if my conflict will resolve itself. It could. That's the nature of court
Yeah.
matters. Right
So
now,
we
I-
would do March 24th and then what, April 14th?
Yeah,
Yes.
14th and 15th.
yeah. But that's the 24th is definitely doable.
Does it have to be on a Monday?
No?
Do we want to look at the 18th if the 17th doesn't work?
I think I have a fair meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Let's just
Oh,
do
no,
the
it's
24th.
not. Okay. It's not
Yeah,
on the.
I'm good with the 24th if everyone else is.
Okay.
Let's make a motion.
I make a motion, we move the March meeting from March 10th, 2025 to March 24th, 2025, starting at 6:30 PM.
I'll second, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank
The
you.
other thing that we had on the agenda was the review for the department heads. And I would like to propose that we postpone that till after the election with the new board. Because it's for year-end contracts.
Is that a motion?
Is it
I'm proposing for discussion.
for reviews or for contracts?
For
For reviews,
For
the reason,
reviews.
right.
Yeah, but the new board member has no experience. Wouldn't matter.
How do we know?
'Cause we're getting
We don't know who the new
feedback.
board member's gonna be.
Yeah.
That's true, but it doesn't matter when it happens, if it happens before or after the election. Because
I
that
think-
person would have no input.
Well, they can
I-
certainly learn from it,
Yeah, I
right?
think that would be good. I like that.
Because I think it's a two-way discussion.
I have no
On what's
experience
working,
either.
what's
I don't
not.
know how these go either.
Right.
And
Usually,
we've never had
usually
them.
contract
We're not
terms
calling it-
aren't discussed, so I'm not even at those reviews.
Q3, yeah.
We've never had reviews.
And,
20 years.
and maybe it's not a review. It's just like, we talked about it 4 years ago
We did.
now.
About boosting employee
regular-
I am gonna
morale.
write down some really nice things to say.
Like regular feedback, two-way discussion of what's working, what's not, if you need help in things, if, all of those kind of things. It's feedback, right? So we can learn more about what the departments
you
are
guys
doing
do.
and.
Right, I agree myself.
Yeah.
To keep it, because then Chad doesn't have to sit through that either.
So
Yes.
Well, if he wouldn't have to anyway, whether he was on or not. When did you want to do it? Like in May then?
May.
We
May,
can
June.
talk about, we can put it on the
we
agenda.
could
to
put it on the
discuss in May.
agenda for March, or, yeah,
After
After
the.
the
for
election.
after the
scheduling.
election.
But we could talk about scheduling
Well,
in March.
Well, just make a
Well, we
motion
need
then
the
to
new
table
board.
this agenda item.
Yeah, I make a motion to table.
I'll second it.
No, I can't make the motion.
Michelle did.
Michelle
I'll
made the
second it.
motion to table the date for department reviews, department head reviews. Ty seconded the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Hearing
Make a
none.
motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we will review bills